Ah, oh, that's hot. That's hot.
The first nun says, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Last night, a homeless man sought shelter in our walls, so we gave him a room and some new clothes. While he was changing, I peeked through the keyhole, and I stared longingly at his penis." The priest says, "Do not be ashamed, my child. Say a Hail Mary, wash your eyes in the holy water, and all will be forgiven." The second nun says, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I snuck into the room, and I took his penis in my hand." The priest says, "Do not be ashamed, child. Say a Hail Mary, wash your hands in the holy water, and all will be forgiven." The fourth nun cuts in front of the third nun. The third nun cuts back in front of the fourth nun. The fourth nun tries to cut in front of the third nun again, and they get into a hair-pulling fight. The priest sees the commotion and yells, "Sisters, stop this at once. What has come over you?" The fourth nun points to the third nun and says, "I want to gargle the holy water before she washes her ass in it."
So, a few years back, the head writer for a global greeting card company passed away. The company decided to search the globe for a replacement. After months of screening, the list was narrowed down to two candidates. One, an award-winning poet from London, and the other, surprisingly, a fraternity brother from an American university. They brought both candidates in and told them, "For your final test, we want you both to come up with a short poem ending with Timbuktu. You have 1 week." Back in the office, a week later, the CEO of the greeting card company asked both candidates to come forward and share, starting with the poet. She stepped forward and said, "Surrounded by miles of sun of sand comes a traveling caravan, dressed in finery, walking 2 by 2, the destination, Timbuktu." The selection panel clapped and praised. It was clear that this poem would be tough to beat. The college student laughed and stepped forward. "Tim and I hunting we went. We came upon 3 maidens in a tent, them of 3 and us of 2. I bucked 1 and Tim bucked 2. So the elderly American gentleman arrived in Paris by plane. At French customs, he fumbled for his passport. "You've been to France before, monsieur?" the customs officer asked sarcastically. The old gent admitted that he had been to France previously. "Then you should know enough to have your passport ready for inspection." The American replied, "The last time I was here, I didn't have to show it." "That is impossible," screams the French customs officer. "You Americans always have to show your passports on arrival in France." The American senior gave the Frenchman a long, hard look. Then he quietly explained, "Well, when I came ashore at Omaha Beach on D-Day in '44, I couldn't find any damn Frenchman to show it to." So one fine day, a bus driver went to the bus garage, started his bus, and drove off along the route. No problems for the first few stops. A few people got on, a few got off, and things went generally well. At the next stop, however, a big hulk of a guy got on, 6'8", built like a wrestler, with arms hanging down to the ground. He glared at the driver and said, "Big John doesn't pay," and sat down at the back. The next day, the same thing happened. Big John got on again, made a show of refusing to pay, and sat down. And the next day, and the one after that, and so forth. This grated on the bus driver, who started losing sleep over the way Big John was taking advantage of him. Finally, he could stand it no longer. He signed up for bodybuilding courses, karate, judo, and all that good stuff. By the end of the summer, he had become quite strong. What's more, he felt really good about himself. So, on the next Monday, when Big John once again got on the bus and said, "Big John doesn't pay." The driver stood up, glared back at the passenger, and screamed, "And why not?" With a surprised look on his face, Big John replied, "Big John has a bus pass." So I got home this evening and told the missus, "I've won the lottery. Get the suitcases ready." She said, "Brilliant. Where are we going?" I replied, "I don't care. Just piss off." So 2 church members were going door to door and knocked on the door of a woman who was not happy to see them. She told them in no uncertain terms that she did not want to hear their message and slammed the door in their faces. To her surprise, however, the door did not close and, in fact, bounced back open. She tried again, really put her back into it, and slammed the door again with the same result. The door bounced back open. Convinced these rude young people were sticking their foot in the door, she reared back to give it a slam that would teach them a lesson when one of them said, "Miss, before you do that again, you need to move your cat." So little Johnny attended a horse auction with his father. He watched as his father moved from horse to horse, running his hands up and down the horse's legs, rump, and chest. After a few minutes, Johnny asked, "Dad, why are you doing that?" His father replied, "Because I'm buying horses. I have to make sure that they are healthy and in good shape before I buy." Johnny looked worried. "Then I think we'd better hurry home right away." "Why?" said his father. "Because the delivery man stopped by yesterday. I think he wants to buy Mom." So it was the letter carrier's last day on the job, and he was going on his route when, at noontime, he approached a home where the lady of the house was waiting at the door. "Hello," she said. "I heard that this is your last day, so I made you a lunch. Would you like to come inside and eat?" He agreed, and as he was eating, the lady appeared in the kitchen naked, led him to the bedroom, and had her way with him. Afterward, as he was dressing, she came up to him and tucked a dollar bill into his top pocket. Confused, he asked, "What's this for?" She replied, "Well, making you lunch was my idea. But when I told my husband what my plans were, he said, 'Screw him. Give him $1.'
One Friday night in New York City, Patrick went up to his friend Patty at their favorite Irish pub in Brooklyn and said, "Patty, I need a favor. I'm sleeping with the bartender's wife. Can you hold him in the pub for an hour after he closes up?" Patty was not very fond of the idea, but being Patrick was a lifelong friend from their days growing up in Boston, he reluctantly agreed. After the pub closed, Patty struck up a conversation with the bartender, asking him all sorts of silly questions about the Yankees and New England Patriots in an effort to keep him occupied. After some time, the bartender became suspicious and asked, "Patty, what are you really up to with all this?" Patty, filled with feelings of guilt and remorse, confessed to the bartender and said, "I'm sorry, my friend Patrick is sleeping with your wife right now in her Jersey Shore condo and asked me to keep you occupied." The bartender smiled, then put a brotherly hand on Patty's shoulder before saying, "I think you'd better hurry home. My wife died 2 years ago."
I heard a rumor through the grapevine so bold. Lawrence Lim got a million stories untold. From green jokes, conspiracies, and edits with flair. You gotta follow him, baby, if you dare. Your feed feels empty without his magic touch. He got the blues and the laughs that you crave so much. With a click and a follow, you'll find some relief. Lawrence Lim, social media, a digital belief. Click, subscribe, don't miss a trick now. Hey, leave your worries and come on, click today. Lawrence Lim's got the content right in line. Follow him now.